Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hooked on Fantasy. As always, I'm one of your two co-hosts, Luke Sawhook, here with my boy Akash. We have a great show in store for you guys today. We're talking our bust for the 2021 NFL season at every single position, but also spice things up a little bit. I'm in the middle of a live draft right now. If you're watching over on YouTube or live on Twitter, I'm in the middle of a Superflex redraft league right now with the guys over from FTN Network. Akash, why don't you say what's up real quick, my man?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's everyone doing tonight? Let's get some Pogs in the chat.
Pogs in chat.
Pogs in chat.
Load up chat with Pogs. But anyway, real quick, so we're doing a live draft, as I just mentioned. It's a super flex draft, and my team is nasty so far, in my humble opinion. No one drafted quarterbacks early, so I ended up with Josh Allen and Kyler Murray through 2 rounds. And then my team right now is so Josh Allen at quarterback, Kenny Golladay, Courtland Sutton, Devonta Smith, David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift at running back, George Kittle at tight end, Josh Jacobs and Michael Thomas at flex, and Kyler Murray and the super flex. But obviously Thomas is injured, so we're going to fill that spot. But I like the way the team is starting for sure. Akash, how do you feel about it overall? Be honest.
I'm very iffy about it. You did in terms of like the whole like running back versus wide receiver, all the different strategies. Like you can go balance, you go 0 RB, hero RB. The one that I would least advocate for is robust RB.
See, it's so funny because like I'm preaching the exact opposite this season. I'm preaching start running back early because the value for early running back is huge compared to the middle rounds, where the wide receivers in the middle rounds like a lot.
You'd be surprised. I find that same Shrek, bro. I find that I don't know, compared to ADP is a bit. People are a bit down on running backs this year, which is good because I learned from last year. But I feel like running backs are still overrated sometimes, especially in the mid rounds with the guys like Jacobs, Sanders, Mike Davis.
I don't like the middle round running backs. I don't mind Jacobs and Sanders, but after that, the fall off is massive. I agree. So like that's why I'm preaching start off heavy, like with a stack like Najee and Eckler, or like guys like that, like the back.
Yeah, at the 1-2 turn, sure. If
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like guys like
1-2 or 1-2-3, and then from there smash like tight end and wide receiver, and like you said.
I'll take 2 running backs at the first 4 rounds, probably first 4 or 5 rounds, at most probably. But yeah, if guys are like Adams, Hill, Diggs are gone, I'm fine with considering Eckler there, and then could make an argument for Hopkins and Ridley around the same range as Najee, but it's not a horrible strategy. Just make sure you don't reach for running backs over certain wide receiver, and also Kelsey. But
hey, you see what trash talk I just put in chat? I was like, I'm gonna crush you guys. But it's true, dude. My team's so nasty. Like this team is so good. Oh, let's actually do some. Let's look around here and everyone else's teams. So there's mine again, real quick. It's you guys because guys just tuned in. It's Josh Allen, Kenny Golladay, Courtland Sutton, Devonta Smith, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Kittle, Josh Jacobs, Michael Thomas, and Kyler Murray. The quarterbacks are a huge advantage, obviously. Let's start up here. You got Herbert, Kupp, Ayuk, Cooks, McCaffrey, and Gibson's nasty. Andrews, Gordon, Terrace, Marshall, Fields, and Wilson. That's an interesting. I don't love the depth, but the top half is really nice.
We made a water bet for Smith versus Fuller because he took Smith over Fuller.
Yeah, we did.
So, chat, what are we thinking about that? Would you rather have Smith or Fuller?
That's my roommate. Will, would you rather have Devonta Smith or Will Fuller this season? Dolphins.
I know I'm on the more unpopular end of this, but I'm also sticking to my guns. Huh?
Will says Will. My roommate says Will Fuller. So
there you go. Will's a smart guy for sure.
Will, you're a dumb idiot, and I hate you.
Boo. Roommate disrespect is real, man.
No, it's not. I love him. But anyway, Akash, why don't we start things off here before I make my next pick? Why don't you get into your quarterback bust?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is just relative to ADP, but I'm going with Mahomes and Dak as busts relative to ADP where you're drafting them. I still think they're very good quarterbacks. Mahomes, I still think he's the best quarterback in football. Don't get it wrong. Don't come at me in the comments. Or do come at me in the comments. That just helps exposure. But Mahomes, he has less rushing upside as the guys that go after him, like Kyler, Allen, Lamar. Last year we saw him finish behind the guys like Kyler and Allen, and then he also finished behind Lamar in 2019. So it's not out of this world for you to believe
All right,
that.
Josh, hang on 1 second. I'm on the clock.
I get it.
I'm looking at wide receivers here. Do we? I kind of like Jacoby Myers or Darnell Mooney here.
I definitely say Myers over Mooney.
Yeah, especially
With
for a volume
Samuel's
play.
injury, what are you thinking about that? Because he has been gone for so long.
Bro, I don't even know. Here's a peek at running back as well.
I feel like you're pretty set at running back.
I do have a lot of running backs.
Definitely.
Yeah, I
I
think.
don't hate Myers. I hate how high Myers' ADP has gone because
Yeah, I agree.
he's getting a bit too high for me, even though I really like him.
I like Brian Edwards a lot too, but I can wait on him.
I have
Ooh.
Jacoby Myers on over half my fantasy teams this year so far, just because I was getting him around 14, 15. I was able to get him in like 16, 17 earlier this year. And earlier in dynasty startups, I was able to get Jacoby Myers in like round 22, 23. It was insane how cheap I could get Jacoby Myers. Now his ADP is basically doubling from round 22 to round 11, which is insane.
Yeah, okay, up next here before we get back into your picks, I'm probably going to be looking at a QB. I'm thinking maybe Goff or Mac Jones, whoever falls. I'll probably take one of those two as my third quarterback, even though I don't really need one, just in case we get an injury or bye weeks. You know,
Definitely.
Another quarterback.
You're looking at.
I was saying Myers as well.
Frog has been. Are you looking at? I'd say one. I don't know, like Tyrod Taylor. I'd much
rather have Jared Goff and Tyrod Taylor.
They said they confirmed that Watson is not going to play at all for them.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
so he's not going to start over Taylor. He's either going to be traded or he's going to be inactive every game. So the
reason I don't like Taylor is I think this team's so bad that it wouldn't surprise me if they went back and forth between like him and like Davis Mills and guys like that. So I'm not,
right. Yeah. I mean, it's possible. I mean, Tyrod Taylor. Yeah, it's the same thing as Cam Newton basically, where it's like, oh, you got the rushing upside and like an okay passer, but then you're looking at a guy who definitely probably lose his job at some point. So you could consider Cam. I wouldn't hate it. I would think Cam over Mac just because I don't think Mac does anything for you in year one, especially a rookie with no rushing upside. I don't see him doing anything for you really. Like low QB2 production, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's more of a game manager type quarterback. I do think he's looked really good in real life, though.
That's possible. Yeah, real life. There's a big gap between reality and fantasy sometimes with quarterbacks. You know,
Jalen Waddle off the board. That's an interesting pick.
Who?
Jalen Waddle.
Nah, I wouldn't.
You don't like Waddle? There is Mac Jones, so I guess we're hoping and praying that Goff is on the board right here. And he is. Thank you very much.
You want him?
I do want him, absolutely. He's the guaranteed starting quarterback, and that's all I need. I just need a body.
You just need a warm body? I get it.
I just need a body to play quarterback for my team. And that was the last good body.
I don't hate it. QB dries up so fast in Superflex redraft just because, like, you can't take a late guy who you're like, maybe he starts down the road and then your depth is fine. You're just looking at starters for the season, which is kind of insane.
For sure. Yeah, I do kind of agree with him. Tyrod might be too solid for them.
Yeah, is Tyrod like Gardner Minshew last year where he's like, I'll draft him at QB 25 and get some rushing value, but then he gets benched and you're like, well, that didn't help at all. It doesn't hurt, but it doesn't help.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, so why don't we hop back into our bust picks here? We're starting to get into like the late picks that don't really matter as much. So
yeah, you can just turn on the draft.
So why don't you get back into your bust?
Yeah, I was just talking about Mahomes. You know, he's finished behind guys like Kyler, Allen, and Lamar, Josh Allen, his career. So it's not like out of this world that he could finish behind them, right? But he's going almost a round and a half before them in these drafts. That doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you?
No, not at all.
No. So you could pass on Mahomes in the third and draft a guy like DeAndre Swift, and then you could draft one of those guys later. And then if you're looking at the guys going in that round, you're looking at the combination of you could either get like Mahomes and Jacobs in round 3 and 4, or you could get I know, right? Or you could get guys like Swift and Kyler in rounds 3 and 4 respectively. And which sounds better to you?
Yeah, I definitely would rather wait on a quarterback. Oh, there goes Cam Newton, by the
Close
way.
my windows if I need to.
No, it's fine. You just do whatever. It's all good. We're just gonna roll with the construction, you know. But yeah, so getting into my quarterback bust, same as Akash for the first one. Patrick Mahomes at ADP. He is literally my QB1, but where he's going in leagues right now is absolutely ridiculous. Like I'm never gonna end up drafting him until he goes so high. But my second one's also Lamar Jackson. He's my QB5. Love Lamar as well. But for some reason, he goes overall like the next year quarterback for like no reason in some of my drafts, and it doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, I just do not love Lamar at his ADP this season at all. So
so he's like going. You're saying he's going over guys like Kyler and Josh Allen?
Yeah, in my experience.
Well, his ADP's after them. He's at QB4 right now. I'm guessing what, do you have Dak ahead or something?
Yeah, I have Dak at 4.
Yeah, I did that debate for a video a couple weeks ago. You know, it was a good debate, but Dak's actually one of my other QB busts. So
that's
we're
fine.
all
You can do it. I like Dak just because last season when he was in, he was just going berserk. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be on that same pace again because it was like historic, but I think he would easily just be top 5 for sure.
Right? Yeah, I'm quite the opposite. You know, I don't like Dak as much because I use neutral pass frequency. Right? I've talked about that all the time. That's basically one of my hammers when it comes to QB volume. I don't look at actual pass frequency. I look at neutral pass frequency just because it gives a better indication of what teams want to do than what teams are forced to do, like when they get in blowouts or when they're on third down all the time and they want to pass on third and long. But when you look at neutral pass frequency, a guy like Dak, Cowboys were 20th last year, and over 2019 to 2020, they're more middle of the pack. That's Kellen Moore's whole tenure in Dallas. So this is also Ezekiel Elliott's offense, right? You know, he has the huge contract. He keeps getting volume. So it's not like this is like the Chiefs where they just pass and pass and pass. And that's what sustains Mahomes' greatness in fantasy, along with a little bit of rushing on the ground, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at a team that could pass less. You know, maybe they get forced into more passing situations like last year with a bad defense, but their defense is probably consistently getting better, especially with the drafting of Micah Parsons and the improvements all throughout the defense.
Parsons looks really good in the Hard Knocks.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's definitely something to be considered. The defense is hard to predict, which is why we use neutral, but defenses can change quite a bit year to year, so it's hard to bank on getting all those garbage time points. And then coming off of the ankle injury for Dak, you know, you'll probably see a lot less rushing. You know, he also has a shoulder injury, a little something to worry about maybe, but the ankle injury last year is pretty concerning because now what you see physical therapists talking about on Twitter, right? I've seen a couple mention, I hope I'm not misremembering, but I've seen a couple mention that you'll see less rushing from Dak. And from there, he's going from a guy who seen around 300 yards and like quite a few touchdowns. Yeah, he had 6 touchdowns in every year to start his career and 3 in 2019 and 300 yards in pretty much all those years. So he's going from that quite a bit down, and you're also not looking at a ton of volume, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I also
at QB5 price.
I just got sniped on Leonard Fournette, and
that's tough.
I'm pretty sad about that. But
at QB5 price, especially going like almost a round ahead of Russell Wilson and like that, I'm not as much of a fan. Like, people love to talk about how the Cowboys are so pass heavy and the Seahawks are so run heavy, but last year the Seahawks were 5th in neutral pass frequency and the Cowboys are 20th. There's a big disparity between the narratives and what actually is happening.
Interesting. All right, I'm back on the clock here real quick. I already have tight end locked and loaded, so I'm not really looking for a sleeper tight end here. I am interested, though, not going to lie, in dipping my hand into the disgusting Houston backfield and taking a guy who I think could be the lead back in Phillip Lindsay. But let's look at the wide receivers here. Who do we got a wideout? We got guys like Beasley, Shepard, Rager, Gage, Crowder, Brian Edwards I like a lot.
You're looking at 10 of slot receivers in here.
Love him on Rob. I'm going to wait on him. Let's see.
I'm not even a big Edwards guy. I don't like him at all, but you have to admit he has more. Like, if I was to make projections, right, I would say Shepard is I project Shepard for more points, probably, right? But
Yeah.
you can't deny that Edwards certainly has the upside.
Yeah, I went with Brian Edwards if you guys are just listening. I think that he has good upside. It was Ramondre Stevenson goes off the board right after. I like that pick as well. But yeah, moving into our running back plus, I think I'll take the first one here. Mine is Myles Gaskin, the Gas Band. I like Myles Gaskin as a player, but the situation is getting a little bit murky there with him and Malcolm Brown in the preseason. In the one game I saw both of them on the field, there were some times where you're like, dude, is Gaskin even active? I mean, he looks good. He looks good at times when he gets to the ball in open space, but Malcolm Brown, I think, is going to be a real thorn in the side for Gaskin managers this season. Although he's going to be really good in PPR and half-point leagues like this one, I tend to lean away from Myles Gaskin just because I'm too uncertain of what his full workload will look like. If that
Where are
makes
you
sense.
seeing him going?
I've been seeing him going in like the 5th round.
Okay. Yeah, I've been seeing his ADP fluctuate a ton. There's a lot of preseason noise. It's not news, it's noise, right? Like
Sure.
the Matthew Berry like sketch, is it? Or like segment, that's the word, that where he's like news or noise. I would say that all of this work with the other Miami running backs is probably noise, because you're never gonna find a running back outside of the first couple rounds who's a workhorse, right? You'll always have all their running backs factoring in. But that's fine. You know, Myles Gaskin makes that up with his receiving ability. He's also saw a lot of the red zone work last year. So in rounds 5 and 6, maybe not so much 5, and I'm looking at other wide receivers there like Higgins and Ayuk and Deontay. But as his ADP starts to drop, I'm starting to like him a bit more just because he saw a good opportunity last year. He's a good receiving back. He saw the red zone work. You know, I'm not worried about Salvon Ahmed and Malcolm Brown, who are both two relatively jaggy running backs.
Sure.
You know, Gaskin isn't a stud by any means. He was, and is definitely closer to replaceable than he is a stud. But I think he should still see good opportunity relative to his ADP. So I'm pretty like, I'm not out on him, but I'm not in on him. You know what I mean? I'm neutral on him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, what are you thinking here, man? I'm back on the clock at 20 seconds. I'm looking at Rager, Russell Gage, Sterling Shepard, Bateman, or
go to running backs.
Running backs are garbage.
Oh, okay. If you want tight end, go Ingram. If you want receiver, go Crowder or Bateman.
I'm gonna go Bateman.
Okay.
No one can get it. Shits.
Because he is hurt. It's just like, when's he going to get back, right?
Oh, no.
What?
Pain. I accidentally got Irv Smith on accident. Oh, boy.
Really?
I didn't get the pick in on time. That's painful.
That's awful. That's terrible because he's also out for multiple weeks. He could be out 6 to 8 months at worst.
Oh, well. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll just have to draft it.
You just have to drop him after this.
That's no, and Amon-Ra is wet. That's so painful.
That's okay. It's okay. I'm okay with missing out on Amon-Ra, man.
No, I love Amon-Ra. He's my boy.
That's okay. You can. You know. Later we'll talk about Amon-Ra's USC teammate, but that's, you know, you'll have to stick around for that.
Okay. All right. I like that little teaser. Back to Myles Gaskin, though. You're not buying the sell that I'm putting out there, but I think he's in store for a solid season. Gosh, I can't talk. At his ADP, I usually already have my running backs and I'm drafting wide receivers. You know what I mean? So I just don't really have teams that are built to draft Myles Gaskin. So I'm just not a huge fan of him at his ADP. I think he's usually pretty gross around the time that I'm on the clock. So I'm just kind of moving on from there. Who do you have as your RB bust this season?
I have a couple for sure. Oh, for sure. Gandy Golden. I'm surprised he hasn't been cut yet. But
Gandy Golden, man, he's balling.
Man. Yeah, I've for my running backs, I could list one or I could list them all. I'll go. My first one is Chase Edmonds right now.
Okay.
Yeah, who's going, if I remember correctly, around running back 28. If Phil's still in the chat, he's not going to like this one, but right now he's going around running back 27, middle of the 5th round. So that's typically the range I like to hammer wide receivers, right? And if I'm looking at a running back there, I wouldn't want to draft Chase Edmonds. I So a few months ago, beginning of the offseason ish, I wrote an article on Chase Edmonds back when people were buying when Kenyon Drake was leaving, before James Conner came, right? And so I wanted to find comparisons to his 2020 season. In the 2020 season, he saw 12% target share and 20% of the team's rush attempts, right? Granted, this is with Kyler Murray, you know.
Sure.
This, my friend Dynasty_IM, he has a great new metric he's been working on called non-QB market share of rush attempts, which basically like kind of normalizes it to like so that rushing QBs don't skew how much of the rush attempts the running back's getting. But I don't have that metric, so I'm just working with percentage of the team's rush attempts. So I made some comps with players who saw 10% plus target share, so they're still seeing good receiving work, right? They're getting receiving work, but they're not seeing a lot of rushing work. So 20% or less of the team's rushing attempts, and the list was just filled with guys like Nyheim Hines, James White, Tariq Cohen, Chris Thompson, Duke Johnson, J.D. McKissick, Chase Edmonds. You know, it's just a scat back, right?
Yeah.
So I increased it just a little bit to get some upper range because Edmonds was right at 20. So, you know, saying everyone with 20 or less, maybe that's not as fair. I increased it to 25% or less of the team's percentage of rush attempts, and it expanded to basically no one. Rookie year Christian McCaffrey, who was used basically in the way that Urban Meyer said he wanted to use Travis Etienne, of just seeing the receiving work. I don't know. He didn't see a lot of rushing work. So that's basically it, besides 2019 Kareem Hunt, where his target share was fine because target share is per game, but I think the percentage of the team's rush attempts is skewed because he only played 8 games. And so besides from that, you're not seeing much comparisons for Edmonds' 2020 season except a bunch of scat backs. This is not like Aaron Jones or Austin Eckler when they made impacts in the receiving game, but then slowly earned more and more rushing work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you add on how Chase Edmonds in 2020, his like juke rate was bad, his yards created was bad. Both are good metrics that I look at to separate a running back from like their O-line or situation. And he didn't show up well in either of them.
That's tough. Ethan asks, do I like Devontae Smith, Judy, Mostert, or Chark to start more? Smith or Judy?
Yeah.
You agree there?
No, week 1, I don't have the week 1 matchups on hand, so
Crowder?
It makes little impact for me.
Thinking Crowder, John Brown, maybe?
Right now, you're on the clock?
Yeah.
Well, you did grab Edwards, so
I did.
You got to stick to it. You got to say that was a good pick. You can't draft John Brown.
So Jamison Crowder.
De'Ami Brown.
Going Jamison Crowder.
Aw, man, you should have gone De'Ami Brown.
You like De'Ami Brown?
Huh?
His rookie season?
Who?
De'Ami Brown?
Yeah, I like De'Ami. I like him more than Amon-Ra. Come at me.
Really? That's bold. I like De'Ami
It's not
Brown.
bold, is it?
Much. Well, it's opportunities, man.
I don't care about opportunities. Except for running backs.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Because receivers earn their targets, right? And so it's like, well, do you think that this really leads anywhere for Amon-Ra? Like, he's getting on the field, right? But you know, if he's not talented, will he earn many targets? Probably not, right?
They have the ball. Yeah, I think he is talented. That's why I like him.
Okay.
He has to pass the ball to somebody, and I mean, they just cut.
Yeah,
it's him, Quintus Cephas, and Tyrell Williams.
I mean, that's just vacated target logic, right? You know.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna see.
Samuel, with his, he's been out for so long and he was on COVID list. What's his injury now? A groin?
I think so.
Yeah, he's. I could see De'Ami taking a role relatively quickly if Samuel continues to stay out and doesn't pick up much, because like this stuff matters, you know. But availability is ability. The best ability is availability. So, with Samuel continuing to be out, I'm starting to like De'Ami more and more, and I have quite a few late round shots on him just because I like the talent, I like the draft capital, and I like the possible upside.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, are you ready to move on to wide receivers?
I have a few more running backs for sure. Yeah,
I could rapid fire.
I could just list them off. You know, Mike Davis, typical dead zone running back player. You only like him because of opportunity. You don't like the talent at all. Last year, he was barely a top 20 RB in points per game just off of receiving work, because in the rushing game he had just like 165 attempts for 640 rushing yards, right? This isn't a guy who's efficient in the run game throughout his career or is seeing much of attempts in the run game throughout his career. So he's just making his impact in the receiving game, and he goes from a team. So for running back targets, coach, scheme, quarterback, all that plays some effect, more so than receivers and tight end, because dump offs, right? Some quarterbacks dump off more than others. Some more dump offs than others. Yeah, you just auto draft Coleman.
Yep.
Was Ty Johnson still there? De'Ami Brown still there?
I don't know about Ty Johnson, but he probably is. I think that Coleman's gonna get some good work for them, so it's all good.
I think he could see it early and then lose it. So.
That's fine. I'll take some instant contribution. I'll dump him if I need to.
And you could drop him, sure. Yep. I don't hate it. So Mike Davis, prototypical dead zone running back. With big cuts coming, he could easily lose his job. I wouldn't be surprised at all if a good running back gets cut and they sign with the Falcons. Mike Davis goes back to being a backup,
Who do you think that would sign in front of him?
What?
Who do you think could get cut that would sign in front of him?
I could see Mostert, David Johnson, Melvin Gordon. That's all you're not projecting any of, you're not guessing that they'll get cut, but you could see a world where they are, right?
Sure.
You could also see a running back get traded like we saw with Sony Michel. It's the same thing as Darrell Henderson. You like the guy, not for the talent, but you like him for the opportunity. And then he loses the opportunity because he's not that talented. And it's just well, we're screwed now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And then I have Michael Carter. Yeah, I have Michael Carter.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
I've not liked him for a while now just because the draft capital is not a guy who's immediately going to come in and have a opportunity. He's going to have to work for it. And, we saw that in preseason with them rotating through running backs. He was a round 4 player. So he's not guaranteed to step into any opportunity for sure. But you're still drafting him in the 8th round, which is the highest redraft ADP for any round 4 rookie running back ever. And so you're saying oh, I think he'll be the best. I think he has the highest expectations out of all of them. So that's flawed to me. It's another guy that you really only like for the opportunity. I don't like the talent as much. And in that range, I'd rather grab a guy like Ronald Jones or James Conner who's going after, but I see better path for them to see more opportunity. I think they're also better talents.
That's fair, man, for sure. All right, why don't we hop into wide receiver now? I'll make mine short and sweet. So it's Julio Jones, which is weird because I don't like betting against talent, but I just don't think that he's going to have enough of a share of the limited passing offense that is the Tennessee Titans to really make a huge splash this season. I think he's a really safe wide receiver 2 option, but I just think that his ceiling is kind of handicapped with A.J. Brown there. So I just don't love him this year at his cost. There's just other wide receivers on the board I prefer.
What cost are you seeing for him?
Around the 4th or 5th, same range. I just don't think he's going to go. I don't think he's going that high. I just in that same range. There's just players I like more. I who feel safe.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm seeing late 4th, early 5th, wide receiver 18 or 19, which I'm fine with. Just in terms of opportunities. You're not. Are you saying that AJ's going to easily out target him?
Yeah, I think he's easily going to out target him.
Because last year AJ saw a 26% target share, and Julio, when he was healthy, still saw around 24-25% target share. So
it's
and that's with missing some games, leaving some games early. He was still top 5 in yards per route run. So I think he's definitely not washed at all, and so still a really talented player, right?
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't bet against the talent here just because I think he could easily see similar target levels to A.J. Brown, but I think that's more of a detriment to A.J. Brown than a help to Julio Jones, because having 2 alphas on the same team, on such a low volume team, you'll probably end up with, unless they pass more, which I don't think they will, you'll probably end up with 2 high wide receiver 2s, I would guess.
Yeah, I think it could definitely happen. It certainly could end up to be a situation like that for sure.
But yeah, in that range, who are you looking at instead of Julio?
Instead of Julio, I'm just gonna pull my rankings. Tell you some guys I have over him.
Yeah.
I have Amari Cooper over him.
That's consensus.
Yeah, I have Woods. I would rather have. I don't know if I'd rather have Kenny Galladay. I'd rather
No,
have.
I'll say the guys after him in like fantasy football calculator.
Sure.
That's a good ADP source. They do a lot of mocks. The guys after him are Godwin,
Yeah, I definitely have I definitely would rather have Godwin.
Lockett,
I'd rather have Lockett.
Thielen,
I'd rather have Julio over Thielen. I think
Ayuk,
Julio.
Moore.
I'd rather have DJ Moore. I think.
Okay, Claypool,
Julio.
Higgins.
Julio.
Yeah, and then you're getting to rounds of guys like 99% sure you'll say Julio. So it's a couple range, couple guys ahead of him, but it's not the same.
It's not egregious necessarily. I just think
I
that
agree.
wide receiver ADP is pretty good this year. Like, there's not a lot of guys. I think wide receivers are like very cheap across the board. So I mean, a guy like that, who I'm just a few spots high on, it's a bust.
Yeah, but I agree with what you're saying. Like I don't think you're going to see prime Julio numbers, just because it's a lower volume offense. I think you'll still see Julio's like rate of earning targets and Julio's efficiency, but I agree with what you're saying. If I don't know, I could see him not just being like pretty good instead of terrific, amazing Julio Jones.
For sure. All right, I'm coming on my pick here. There's not a lot left on the board currently. Let's see what we got. We're on our last two picks. There's Christian Kirk, T.Y. Hilton, Chris Conley, Sammy Watkins.
Go to other positions.
Yeah. There's a lot of tight ends left. There's Ingram, Troutman.
Ingram
or Troutman? Yeah, I don't really know.
For sure, dude. Troutman's injured, and Ingram's injured too. But yeah, Troutman's a blocker. Check the Ingram injury because that's gonna matter.
Calf injury.
Yeah.
And Troutman has a leg.
Yeah.
So,
check the running backs.
Running backs are kind of gross. Okay, I'm on the clock. Cordell Patterson,
Ty Johnson.
Latavius Murray's not bad.
Nah, he could lose a job, I think, and he's not
Johnson?
amazing. I could see Ingram, maybe Ingram. Maybe they rotate guys, and he's like the guy to own in Houston sometimes, or maybe he gets traded to the Ravens. You never know, to be honest. I could Ty Johnson, Mark Ingram, but then for wide receivers, I think you could consider Christian Kirk. To be honest, shout out DF being counter, the ultimate Kirk truther, unfortunately. But yeah, Jarwin, Henry, Ingram for tight ends. All these guys. Did Ingram go already?
Oh, he went one pick before. Yeah, I guess.
That saves you a lot of injury debate on the pick.
I would say Hunter Henry, honestly. I'm going to follow the money and take a gamble. Why not? Let's see what happens.
Okay, yeah. You're going to have to drop Irv Smith for sure.
Yeah. All right.
That's not great. That's not great.
I like one last pick. I'll probably just take some random guy. I don't know. But yeah, why don't you get
into your draft Tebow for the memes?
I could draft Tebow for the memes. Why don't you get into your bust wide receiver then?
Huh?
Your bust wide receiver.
Oh yeah. Should I just should I list both of them or one of them?
Hit both. Just do it a little quicker. I guess.
Look quick. DJ Chark, Michael Pittman.
That's really quick.
Huh?
I said that's really quick.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't mind either at all, actually. I hate Chark. And Pittman, I like Pittman more now after the Hilton injury, but I don't know.
I gotta say, man, if you were worried about T.Y. Hilton for Michael Pittman, you were already lost.
No, I wasn't worried. I was saying it frees up more opportunity for him.
I guess that's just vacated target logic, man. But yeah, I get it. Obviously, him not being there helps more than him being there, I guess, because he'll do something, right?
Yeah.
But for Pittman, you have a guy who was not very productive at USC. I'm going into college profiles now. I'm sorry if you're not a big market share college fan. So for Pittman, you have a guy who was not productive for his first couple years in college. He did okay. His breakout year was basically his third year, where he saw same production as Amon-Ra St. Brown, pretty much. Amon-Ra is an 18-year-old freshman, Pittman as a 20-year-old. It's not a great look, right? And so then, finally, at his age 21 season, in his senior season, we don't like these senior declares. In his senior season, he finally got to be the wide receiver 1 in the USC offense. And that was like his real breakout. That's when he finally he barely crossed it. He didn't even cross it all the way. He barely touched the curve for market share of receiving yards, the curve based on top 24 wide receivers in the NFL, all the receivers who have had a top 24 season. So Pittman, as looking at his profile, not great. And then you look at his rookie season where he was pretty unproductive, missed some time in down the stretch in the time when receivers normally take off, right? Down the stretch of the season, coming back from injury, he only saw around 4 to 5 targets per game. And so he's not a guy that I'm looking to invest in the mid rounds of wide receivers. Like, I'd rather have a guy like Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller, Elijah Moore.
All right, last pick here. I'm just going to take a shot on the Lizard King, Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, you can drop him after week 1 when he goes off against the Ravens, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure, dude. And then DJ Chark. Chark.
You don't even need to say anything about DJ Chark. I'm all in on the DJ Chark bus train. He's garbage.
Yeah. All right, that's good. You know, here's a guy who basically produced the same numbers as Laviska Shenault, as Laviska was as a rookie, and if you go per game, he was just better than Viska. So you're looking at a guy who in his third year, like when he should be consistently improving on his production, he is playing down to the level of rookie Viska, who had 600 yards. It's not a good look for a guy who also face planted after year 1, had a bad college profile. Everything about Chark's profile suggests that his 2019 season was a fluke more than the norm, right?
Absolutely.
Are you tired?
Yeah, I am tired. He was a big fluke, dude. I swear to God, like DJ Chark had the flukiest season ever. Like seriously.
Yeah, because he had a few big games in 2019. It's propping up his production pretty much. He barely finished inside the top 24, if I remember correctly. He was it was wide receiver 17, and then following a wide receiver 17 season, he was wide receiver 49. So it's a big step back for a guy.
Huge.
Like
Huge
that.
Huge step back. Like, that's massive.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's round things out here with the fantasy darling position of tight end. My bust is a guy who I was beating the drum on all offseason was Dallas Goedert, unfortunately. I really like his talent, but Zach Ertz being there completely ruins the fun. So I'm hands off, especially he has a really high ADP still.
I got to say, I got to toot my own horn a little bit. I was never on the Goddard train of expecting Ertz to be gone. I was like, I got to see it to believe it. This is a team that is going to will keep Ertz for the time being, even because there were no real rumors going around. It was just a bunch of noise pretty much. So I was on the train of I got to see it to believe it, to buy into Dallas Goedert. But I totally agree with what you're saying now.
For sure. Appreciate that, my man. Who is your
my boy?
Bust?
Huh?
Who's your bust?
Oh, my bust. It's Tyler Higbee.
Oh, okay. He's cheaper though.
Is he cheaper? I see him going anywhere from tight end 8 to tight end 11, based on the platform you're on, right? And so
that's pretty high.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so I've seen him go before Fant, Thomas, Goddard.
You've seen him go before Fant?
I know. That's what I'm saying. But he has. Depending on your platform, you'll see him going before Fant sometimes, for sure. And then, later, I like Ingram before he was hurt, which is sad. And then he's even going before guys like Gesicki and Jonnu.
Yeah,
and,
I would much rather have Jonnu Smith, for sure.
Yeah, even I would, as not a big Jonnu guy. So, outside of the 5 weeks of production in 2019, Tyler Higbee has never been a usable fantasy football asset, right? And so he was a guy, I believe he was tight end 22 in points per game last year, tight end 20 in points per game. last year after you drafted him as top 8 tight end after his big stretch to end the season. And so he had the big game against the Eagles where he scored 3 touchdowns, and then he didn't do anything else. He was just a complete bust. But now people are expecting a bounce back, right? Due to narratives surrounding Matthew Stafford and his love of targeting tight ends, right? You've seen that? And narratives around.
I haven't actually.
No, you haven't? It's big on Instagram too, man.
I'm not on Instagram. Fantasy, really.
People love to say that Higbee's going to break out because Stafford loves to target his tight ends, and also because Everett's gone. And I'm here to say that neither of those matter at all, because
I think Everett being gone matters.
They're different tight ends. They're different tight ends, man. So like, they don't do the same things. Yeah, you're not going to see Higbee's role increase that much with Everett gone. If I recall correctly, he's a bit more of a blocker. He sees a high snap share just because he's on the field blocking so much. You're not seeing him outside. You're not seeing him out wide. You're seeing him block because he's a good blocker, tight end. But blocking doesn't get you fantasy points. So what is there to gain? So, and also for Stafford love of targeting tight ends, it's a narrative that never works because for tight ends, targets are earned, right? And so people say, look at the way that Stafford targeted Hawkinson last year. And I'm here to say that's because Hawkinson is a pretty freaking good tight end, right? Whereas Higbee, I cannot say the same. So if you're expecting
that's fair. I said that's fair. I mean, if you think that he's not that good, then why would you believe it?
Yeah, exactly. You're and then he's still the third option on the team. You know, the team where the passing volume's pretty. It's anyone's guess really because they've passed a lot, and throughout in McVay's tenure they passed a lot. They've also had seasons where they run more, and so now without Akers, I think they could pass more, but not to the extent of Higbee being relevant because even last year Higbee still was not relevant.
True. All right, man. That brings us to the end of today's episode, guys. So we will be back on Wednesday night recording live and Thursday with another episode. That'll be our sleepers episode, I believe, which will be a great time. We will see you guys all then. Have a good one, everybody. Peace.
Have a great night.